Greetings, Gugu-Gee-ans and Earthlings.
Good to keep strong when you're on the road. Never know when you might need to brute strength some bolts loose or call AAA, which I avoided. All right, so this flat happened about 10 or 11 miles from my destination for the evening. Staying in Bakersfield for one night and then back to Los Angeles to doggy sit and do some regrouping. I could feel something going wrong, and I thought, well, maybe it's just the way this road is graded, because it has kind of a groove in it, and it started to get worse and worse, and I probably drove on it a little too long and should have pulled over, but I was hoping to get an exit, and then finally it was like, yeah, it's a flat, and I must pull over. So hopefully I didn't drive too long and do any, I don't think I did, but anyway, so one of the things that happens when you're on the road. But we solved the problem. The items we're going to need for this job are a scissor jack, a crank handle for the scissor jack, and a lug wrench. An additional item I should have used and actually had with me are wheel chocks to stabilize the wheels. It might be interesting to you on Gugu-Gee to see something as practical as changing a tire on a busy highway. My back is very sore. Getting about 3 of those bolts loose was really hard, but it worked out.
As you can tell, Gugu-Gee-ans, it was a little scary changing the tire on the interstate with big trucks whizzing by at about 70 or more miles per hour. The first thing I did, besides turn on the hazard lights and engage the parking brake, was to identify the Jeep's frame where I could place the jack. I felt like I was too much in the in-between of the paved road and the dirt shoulder, and that was going to make the surface for the jack uneven. So I pulled off the road a little more. I'm going to tell you, dear humans and Gugu-Gee-ans, there were a few areas where this alien gets a fail, and I'll let you know where they were. Like, why did I leave the spare tire on the road under where the camper would be rolling? I put it down to being a bit anxious. In these situations, it's good to keep your wits about you. So that's the jack. I think this kind is called a scissor jack, and there's a crank handle which helps you raise the jack and the vehicle. I was glad to have my padded windshield sunshade to use under my delicate knees. Here is my first mistake. At least I think it's my first mistake. I should have used my chocks to stabilize the Jeep's wheels. And my second mistake, this is a frustrating one, loosen the lug nuts before you raise the tire. You will see that later in this video this causes me some problems, and I have to crank the jack back down so the wheel doesn't slip when I'm trying to take off the lug nuts. And so, in reverse we go. If you're like me, you'll do the test. How is it again I open a jar of pickles to determine which direction to loosen the lug nuts? A few of the lug nuts were really tight. Too tight for me to loosen without using my body weight. My method of stepping on the lug wrench only serves to bend your lug wrench. This is where I get another fail. I found a video that is linked below with a better method, putting a block of wood under the lug wrench. Honestly, this was the point where I felt the least confident. I thought I wasn't going to be strong enough to get the lug nuts off. But apparently, I am not a weakling after all. And when they get loose enough, you just take them off by hand the rest of the way. I needed to get the vehicle higher still to take the tire off. Luckily, the spare, or the donut, looks good. You'll just do a little adjusting here to line everything up. Don't lose your lug nuts. Keep them safe. Now here is something I believe I did correctly. I put the lug nuts on the tire, but I didn't tighten completely. Then I lowered the tire, but not all the way, but giving the spare a little bit of weight on it, and I tightened the lug nuts. Then I lowered the Jeep the rest of the way. I should probably have given the lug nuts one last tighten once all the way down. I can't remember if I did that or not. Time to put away that torn up tire and my tools. One other tool you might have to have handy is a screwdriver to pop off a hubcap or a wheel cover. Luckily, I always carry some water. Comes in handy for more than drinking. Whew, that was exhausting, and I can feel it a bit in my back. But we did it, fans. By the way, very quickly, if you like the show, consider Buy Me a Coffee to help support the show. Buy Me a Coffee is a great way for creators and artists to accept one-time support or membership ongoing from their fans for the price of a coffee. Go to buymeacoffee.com/brainfire to help the show. Thank you.
Take some coffee and some bagels and get out of here to where the weather